Welcome to the 2021 Australian Petanque Nationals Open Singles Final Principale.
This should be a fantastic game. You've got two incredibly talented players, one of whom is Lionel Chazal, who's an Adelaide boy, via France, of course, and the other one is Sachin Tika, who is from Sydney, a member of the Boulattis Club, commonly known as Sai amongst his friends, and a bit easier to say, but we'll give him the full dues. It is Sachin, so this should be a cracking game.
And Lionel's started out throwing the kosh. It's looking like a reasonably long end. I'd say that's around 9 metres.
Already we have an issue with the shoes.
Is that a wardrobe malfunction? I'd say both guys are looking pretty relaxed at this point.
I'd say there's an element of bravado there. Singles is a fairly demanding, form of petanque. One-on-one, it requires you to be a very good all-round player.
Nice high lob. Rolled well past the kosh.
You'll note that Lionel points from a squatting position, which is very common in France, less so in Australia.
Nicely in front. Still a fair way out, but it will be that mental deterrent of having that bull in front kind of in the way.
And very early on we have a stark contrast in their styles, with Sachin pointing from a standing position.
Nice ball. Gently past that bull in front, slightly off to the right. Singles is such a different game when you've only got 3 balls for each player.
It'll be interesting to see whether Sachin decides to shoot here. He's a fantastic shooter with a high carry rate.
Just over the top.
For those unfamiliar with the game, a carrow is when you strike a target bull and your own bull stays more or less on the spot. It's a double whammy, removes the point and takes the point.
And his point's gone wide. So Lionel has an opportunity here.
It looks like Lionel has second and third, in which case he'd be sorely tempted to shoot the front ball and potentially give himself 3 points.
Yeah, from this angle, it's a close call between those two back ball. Oh, what a point.
I suspect there may have only been one there. I'm fairly confident Lionel would have shot if there was a potential for 2 or 3 points.
Just look at the arc of that point. Comes in, little nudge off that front ball. Little dig in the ribs on the way past.
We'd like to thank Hip Pocket Workwear for sponsoring the broadcast this year. We couldn't have put this together without their support. If you need work or safety equipment that doesn't break your hip pocket, head to Hip Pocket Workwear.
Lionel will be happy with that as a first end. First blood drawn. 2 points.
Players, of course, need to mark the circle on the ground, so in case it accidentally gets kicked away, and that's what Lionel has just done.
And that's a nice starting point. I think that's just rolled through. Looked like it was going to sit in nicely, but it just kept going.
It does make it difficult to shoot, so he's got no option really but to point again.
That looks like it's done much the same thing. Just out the back.
Yes, no movement from Lionel.
That puts pressure on this third ball. He really needs to get something in the head, preferably in front. I think he was trying to tap the Kosh back then.
I'd be surprised if he tried that. He really needed that ball somewhere in the front. I think he just overestimated it and went a bit long. Sashin's been in Australia a few years now, but only recently resumed playing Petanque, joining the Bull Artistes in Sydney. But he's probably only been actively playing for the last year after a 6-year break. So the fact that he's in the final of the singles here on this magnificent Easter weekend of the Australian Championships is, I think, a testament to the talent that he has.
It was very consistent. It came in towards his second one. It's going to be a measure to see what the situation is. Because he gave his own ball a nudge. Now got to make a call on what to do with that final ball.
You'll notice there that he smoothed the patch out, which is, you're allowed to smooth one patch before you play, and that should be where he'll be looking to land.
And that third one's gone.
I'm clearly not happy.
Thank you to the South Australian Petanque League for their support of the 2021 National Petanque Championships and for bringing this fantastic event into South Australia. Marking the cosh also. Looks like it may be a little short, so they're measuring from the circle to make sure that it hits that minimum 6 metre mark. The umpires really have done a great job this weekend, keeping everything ticking along and on the straight and narrow.
Yes, the Beaumont boys, well-known referees in many major tournaments.
And that was short, so Lionel gets to place the cosh. Spot of his choosing. I'd say, given that Sachin was aiming for a short end, that's why Lionel's brought it back.
Without doubt, he's a deadly shooter in the shorter ranges. It's not a bad start.
Certainly on the line. Can't tell whether that's a poker face or whether he's happy with that. I suspect he would have liked it to have that, just that one extra roll.
The tactics here in singles can be that they don't want to go too close to the jack and encourage the other player to shoot straight away.
Nice point by Lionel. A little bit long, but it's holding. Just gone past. Lovely line, headed straight in, but just that little bit too much strength.
It's probably something that we should mention, that this particular piece has a significant slope, so they're currently playing down the hill.
That's a nice point. That's got it. But of course Lionel still has 2 ball to come.
The slope also means that after coming and playing your balls downhill, you then need to adjust on the uphill. And the fact that it is constantly alternating does make it a bit challenging to achieve the consistency.
Lionel's missed that first shot. Oh, and that was an unfortunate result for him.
He'll be disappointed with that. He's an incredibly gifted player and a fantastic shooter. You see him doing the practice run, then you see him doing the actual throw. But an amazing player.
A bit frustrating to get the shot but not get the result you want from that shot. This broadcast couldn't have been put together without the generous support of the Petanque Federation of Australia. Thank you for putting on such a great event and putting together a competition we can all be proud of. You can see Sachin ended up with 2 points from that end as that shot unfortunately knocked his other ball back. Still a close game, 2-3. That's a reasonable ball. Certainly in contention.
For those of you unfamiliar with Petanque broadcasts, you'll notice that under the names of the players in the top left corner, there are the white dots, and that's a great shot.
Fortunately, that shot didn't pay off. Tried to reply.
Well, it's a really well-positioned ball from Lionel's shot, and it was something that he had to do. He had to try and fire back immediately.
That looks like a good final point. He had to get something in there. And everything else moved out of the main area of play. Oh, lovely point. Still one ball to come.
Well, he had the luxury there that if he didn't take a second point, he would then have been able to shoot.
And there's the trifecta.
Yeah.
We'll give him a boost. That should bring the score to 5-3 in Lionel's favour.
We'd like to thank Hip Pocket Workwear for sponsoring the broadcast this year. We couldn't have put this together without their support. If you need work or safety equipment that doesn't break your hip pocket, head to Hip Pocket Workwear.
You see Lionel setting up long crosses. And I'd say there's a good reason for it looking at that point. It's a nice start.
Lionel is more than capable of pointing well at these longer distances. And very importantly, he's not fazed by having to shoot balls long either. He's got a lovely technique, an amazing wrist.
Sessions pointed in, but that looks like it's wide. One's pulled up short. He's going to need a magic trick with his third ball. He really needs to stop Lionel from getting another 3 on the board. Oh, that's a nice ball.
It does make it more difficult, but Lionel is more than capable of taking more points here.
Looks like there's a few things going on in his head at the moment, trying to decide which way to play it. That looks like a good ball. A little hard from this angle to tell whether it's got second. And that third one just short.
There's a difference in the two characters. Sachin is playing very much within himself, very quiet. You'll often see Lionel making comments to the crowd, gesticulating. South Australian petanque has really come on in the last few years. There was a period of time there where things were not going as well, but under the current administration and with high energy clubs like Novar Gardens coming into the league, there's been a real kick up in the number of people attending competitions, and memberships at clubs has been on the rise, and this is a really fantastic event to be holding here at this time.
Another point in front. Sachin's taken control of this part. He's come nicely past that front ball. Of course, when you own that ball in front, it's a little bit easier playing forward because you don't have the fear of running into your own ball.
You see that shot there, he turned his wrist to make it come around the front ball, putting on some side spin. The ball hit the ground and you could see it curve around his own front ball.
It's a pretty marvellous effect too. Sachin taking the shot. Bit wide. He'd be feeling the pressure at the moment. Nice high lob in that has just continued to roll. Quick measure to see who's holding second. We saw Lionel repair a divot on the left there, so it looks like he may be trying to repeat that second point. Which he has.
That was a very good shot to see Lionel's wrist. I mentioned what a fantastic wrist he's got. When he squatted down there and he brought the ball back behind him, you saw how far back his wrist actually goes. When the ball is in his hand, it almost touches his forearm. And so he's really working the ball, putting really significant spin. So whether he wants to be straight or do the left or the right curve, he is able to really work the ball.
He has impressive control over the direction. That's very much in the same position as where it was the previous time we were playing down this way. Oh, and he's put a beautiful point in.
This is high pressure now.
You can see a bit of thought going into that.
I think he's questioning the length.
So he does have the right, after the first ball has been played, to have the distance checked of the kosh. If it's not within that 6 to 10 metre distance, then the end will be started again.
And I suspect he'll be very much hoping that it's beyond the 10 metre mark at this point. It's a very good ball.
The strategy generally, if you think that the kosh may be in the wrong position, is to let your opponent play their first ball and then decide whether to continue. With a ball like that right in front, you'd be hoping that it was out, but unfortunately for Sachin, this will be continuing. Well, that's one way of doing it. Just move the kosh, giving himself a load of clear space there.
It's not the ideal outcome, but if he puts a good ball in now, it becomes a very long shot. If it was borderline 10 metres in its original position, it's now 11.5 or 12 maybe.
Just needs to get that solid point in. And he's gone long. He doesn't give a lot away, but I think I can see a little bit of frustration creeping in.
There's plenty of room for Lionel here.
And he makes the most of it. Interesting choice. He decided to shoot. Unfortunately, didn't make the shot. Just given Lionel the opportunity to turn this into a 2-point end.
He certainly would have been looking to try and get a carrow there to make it two points on the ground if he could. But it was a reasonably risky strategy, I would have thought.
It's a nice slow motion of that beautiful point from earlier. Nice and easy. Another 2 points on the board for Lionel. Getting to the pointy end of the game where Sachin's really going to have to get those points in. Put the pressure back on Lionel.
Comebacks are always possible, but for Lionel, he's looking pretty relaxed. Although, to be fair, he nearly always looks relaxed. And Sachin definitely is showing a bit of tension, I think, on his face now.
It's a good point in. Of course, Lionel has his first opportunity now to actually finish the game. Sachin's not going to let him do it that easily. What a point.
It's a good ball. It's a very, very good ball. But it does invite Lionel to shoot, and he's a player that does quite a high percentage of carrows.
Let's see what he does this time. It's gone over the top. Point from Lionel. Out in front. It might have just pulled up.
I think you're right, and it may not even be third. This was a real opportunity to pull the score right back.
That one's rolled on by the look. It stayed in his favour, so he will be adding a point to his score on this end. Looks like they may be measuring for second.
We have seen some finals where the referee was always called to measure. It was interesting to see both the players doing the initial measure and agreeing that it's close enough to call in the umpire.
That's when you know it really is close. You need that professional opinion.
And for those of you who don't know French, the word for umpire is arbitre, and you'll see that on the back of the umpire's shirt. And of course, FJPIP is the International Federation of Petanque. course, arbitre is similar to arbiter,
Yeah.
as we would say in English.
Makes sense, that mediation role. And I believe that was Lionel holding second. Thank you to the South Australian Petanque League for their support of the 2021 National Petanque Championships and for bringing this fantastic event into South Australia.
These views of the ground are really amazing. It's one of the very few grounds that clubs have with lots of trees, and I think for most people who've seen petanque in France, trees usually play a part, be it tree-lined avenues or
Nice point in from Sachin. This could be the reversal of his fortunes. Speaking of carrows earlier, that's what Lionel's just managed to pull off.
two balls each.
Oh, nice reply.
There was a time to do a carrow, it was then.
I think that was a bit of tit for tat right there. Oh, little nudge, but no cigar.
Shooting. You always know, obviously, when Lionel is about to shoot because he points from a squatting position, but he always does that practice run, that slight visualization of what it is that he wants to do.
Yeah, nicely in there. He's made the most of that opportunity.
What a fantastic shot that is. Low angle, trees in the background. This broadcast couldn't have been put together without the generous support of the Petanque Federation of Australia. Thank you for organising such a great event and putting together a competition we can all be proud of.
So that's another 2 points. Sachin making a little bit of a comeback here. Let's see if he has enough momentum to continue.
So we're going uphill now.
Reasonable point. It's in the head, but could have been stronger if it was a little further towards the front of the kosh.
That's a great reply.
That is a great reply. Sitting it in front or nestling it in front of that ball makes it impossible to shoot.
As soon as he stood up, chatting to the crowd again.
That shot didn't pay off. Knocked his own ball out, left Lionel on for one. Got one left. It really needs to count.
That is a great ball. He really needed that.
So Lionel has 2 ball in hand.
And he will shoot.
And he needs 2 points.
And this is a great opportunity to see his wrist.
And he hits.
Amazing relaxed start. Distance is no real issue with Lionel. He's got this fantastic wrist. Doesn't need to use a lot of strength.
Just that really smooth action. And there it is. That's the 2 points he needs. And end of the game. Fantastically played by both guys.
It was a thoroughly deserved win from Lionel. I think Sachin will be a bit disappointed. He's also a tremendous player, but Lionel just too consistent pointing wise and putting real pressure on Sachin. There you see that shot that opened the way. He's a proud dad. Of course, he grabs one of his children to be photographed.
That brings the open singles to an end. We say congratulations to Lionel and well played Sachin. And we look forward to moving on to the next final.
Looking forward to it.